In this video, we are going over 10 soccer tips for young players to improve fast. Now, at a young age, yes, there are certain things you want to be focusing on. There are things you want to develop early, and so I want to reveal what those are to you. And make sure you watch all the way to the end because I put some of the really juicy, really valuable ones in the 9 and 10 slot, and I just want to make sure you don't miss out. That's coming up next. Welcome to Simplysoccer. If you're new to this channel, my name is Dave, and on this channel, we release soccer tip, technique, and training videos to help you improve your game and stand out on the pitch. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you hit that subscribe button and then hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of the videos that we release. Also, if you haven't gotten my free ebook Game Changer yet, 33 ways to improve your game and stand out on the pitch, you can download that for free below in the description. Anyway, that's enough of all that. I want to get into the first one, so let's go. All right, and so for this first one, I want to get one of the obvious ones out of the way. Now look, you might look at this and go, yeah, well that's obvious, but the more you're reminded of this, the more likely you'll be to stick to it. And that is, especially as a younger player, keeping that consistency and momentum going. You know, you want to develop certain habits, you want to develop certain practices early on that you're going to be able to take into the rest of your career or the rest of your life as you play. And developing the habit of consistency and also building up momentum towards something is going to be incredibly valuable. This means, you know, one of the most important things is to get a consistent training practice going, to get a consistent schedule going, to be consistent with your training. You know, a lot of kids, especially in America, for example, they just have team training and they don't really do any individual work. But if this is a game you love to play it and you want to get good at it, and you envision being at a higher level when you're older, you need to start getting in the habit of training individually often. Because the more consistent you can be with that, the better you're going to be as you get older. Now, number 2 is related to that, but it's just making sure that over time you are optimizing your training. Your training is going to evolve over time. Now, there are certain things you're always going to be doing, and we'll cover that later in this video, but optimize your training over time. As you improve, you know, the challenge of your training should increase over time so that you are continually growing, so that you are continually training at your edge. And this is something you can start at a young age. This is not just for someone who's in their teens or maybe in their 20s. This can be done at a young age. Again, developing these good training habits of making sure you're being challenged. Yes, keeping it playful, keeping it fun, that's important as well. But we actually find fun in challenge. We find fun in growing ourselves. You know, when I'm training, if I'm just going through the motions, it's not as fun if I'm making it a training session where I'm at my edge and I'm accomplishing new things and I'm actually trying new things and trying to do things better. I always find more satisfaction and I always have more fun in those sessions than the ones where I'm just going through the motions, doing the things I know I can already do. Now, although I said, yes, you want to optimize your training and change things and evolve as you evolve or have it evolve as you evolve, there are certain things you will always be practicing on. And number 3 is master the fundamentals, because no matter how old you get, you will always work on this area. However, if you can get competent at this area early on, it's just going to set you up for success later. You know, if you're getting older and your passing's already great, your first touch and ball control is great, your shooting is great, you know, and you have all these fundamentals just at least at a competent level, then you're going to be head and shoulders above other kids your age. It's just going to be the case. You know, working on those things. You know, if you're working not only on your dominant foot, but also your weak foot. So make sure you're heavily working on the fundamentals, especially at a young age, because at a young age, you really want to be working on the technical aspects of the game. This isn't the time to be heavily working on tactics. It's not the time to be heavily working on things you're not going to be doing often in the game. You want to really develop as a player when you're younger, and a lot of that is going to be these technical aspects with the fundamentals. Speaking of that, number 4 is get plenty of technical training. Now, I'm going to expand on that, and for me, that means getting tons and tons and tons of touches on the ball. The more touches on the ball you can get when you're younger, the better. You know, I really believe any youth coach who's coaching like 6, 7, 8-year-olds should have a ball for every single player available and have it at their feet as often as possible. Now, for certain drills, you know, they won't always be involved with the ball, but if you are doing shooting drills, passing drills, whatever it is, you know, doing a lot of dribbling drills, ball mastery, get the ball at their feet very often, because the more comfortable they get with the ball at their feet, the more familiar they are with the ball, it's just going to support them as a player as they get older. You know, in many countries where they have these technically gifted players, and I say gifted like this because it's not that they're gifted, they just got the ball at their feet very young. You know, you look at players in Spain, for example, you know, I believe a lot of their youth training involves heavily the ball. having the ball at their feet very often, getting very comfortable with the ball at their feet. And so when they grow older, as they get into these more professional teams and they get to a higher level, they all seem to be incredibly comfortable with the ball at their feet, more than other players from different countries. Now, why is that? Again, because from a young age, they got the ball at their feet, they worked on this technical stuff with the ball so that they could do do a lot of this technical stuff in their sleep. They don't even need to look at the ball because they've just gotten so many touches on it throughout their life. So this is something you definitely want to start doing heavily when you're a young player. Number 5 is another obvious one, but something I want to mention, and it's play often. And now I don't just mean on your team. Again, a lot of youth players, especially where I was in America, travel soccer, they just had team training maybe once or twice a week, and then they'd have a match every weekend, right? So then you're just playing one game and you have a couple training sessions. That's not enough to get better or at least improve quickly. You want to be playing as often as possible, putting yourself in match situations where people are defending you, space is closed up, you have to use teammates and play as a team as often as possible. So not only play for your team, but maybe find out other opportunities to play for more than one team. Play rec soccer, play pickup soccer. Find any way that you can do this. When I was a kid, there actually used to be Peruvians and Mexicans who played in my neighborhood or kind of around the area. And I used to, as like an 8 or 9-year-old, my mom would drive me around and I would go ask if I could play. And I developed relationships with them, so I actually ended up being able to play with them multiple times a week, every single week. And now I just did this because I love to play. Football was my life, but what ended up happening is it helped me develop more skill. It helped me get more touches on the ball. It helped me operate better in match situations. Number 6 is develop good habits early. Because if you start developing bad football habits at a young age, it's going to be so much harder to remove them later on. It's not just habits with the ball, things like getting your head up, things like taking a good first touch out of your feet, the basics. This also includes your mentality, your attitude towards training, all of these things. Now, instead of going over every single good habit you want to build and every bad habit you want to avoid, just go in the description and I have a playlist for both good habits to develop and bad habits to avoid. And if you really want to dive into this and make sure your kid, or if you are the younger player, is developing good habits and not developing bad habits, go watch some of those videos. It'll give you everything that you need. Number 7 can be one that's overlooked when we're going over all this technical stuff and you want to grow as quickly as possible and you want to do A, B, and C and train, habits, and it's enjoy yourself. Enjoy playing football because at the end of the day, it's a game and games are meant to be enjoyed. Players that go on to play pro, I'm willing to bet that most of them enjoy the game and that's why they went on to do that. That's why they dedicated their lives to it, because they love it and they don't want to do anything else. I know players and there are players who play in lower leagues that barely make a living. They just scrape by on what they make playing football. They can make more money, have a more comfortable living doing something else, not putting their body on the line, not getting injuries, not having to live a very strict lifestyle where someone's telling you what to do, when to train, when to eat. But the reason they do it is because they love it. And ultimately, if you're going to grow in any area, you need to be very interested in it. You need to love it. You need to be passionate about it. So make sure you enjoy it. Number 8 is get some guidance or coaching. Now, nothing, and I mean really nothing, is going to help you improve more than getting coaching. Getting guidance from a trained eye, someone who knows how to improve you, who knows when you're making a mistake and can adjust it. And I'm actually getting this from the book Peak, which is a study on expertise. And they say that everyone that gets to those top levels, they have a personal coach. They have someone that can look at them and go, okay, there's this slight tweak you can make, even at the highest level with pro athletes, with Olympians, because they're at the point where they've mastered almost everything, but there might be something a little bit off. Now, you can do this in many different ways. One thing you can do is go to camps. Summer camps will help you get in front of really good coaches, but for a short period of time. But if you can afford it and it's something you want to do, it can be very, very valuable. Another thing you can do is one-on-one personal training. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. You can do it online, which will be cheaper, or you can do one-on-one sessions with people. You can just look up on Instagram or on Google personal one-on-one soccer coaches, or even groups. Sometimes they'll do them in groups, 3 to 5 or more, that you can get training from. And again, as a young player, this is going to benefit you amazingly to get that high-level coach or person who has proven he can help players grow early on. A cheaper option is to also coach yourself by getting an online course. So now, instead of going for one-on-one coaching, or you can do both, but let's say you can't afford like $200 a session, $100 a session for coaching in person, then you can get an online training course. Now with this, the only difference is you have to keep yourself accountable, but you can find a coach, you can find someone you like who has a training course and follow their course. I have my own courses if you want to check them out. They're in the description. I have it for a few different areas. So those are some cheaper alternatives you can use to coach yourself. And also you'll be in a group where I can help you and help you stay accountable. But remember, when you're getting a course, it's up to you. The courses, almost all of them I've ever been in, work. It's more up to you then to keep accountability for yourself and actually go through them. Number 9 is another big one, and it's watch and analyze matches often. Now, when I think a kid's really, really young, especially with his parents, they should be watching pro matches very often. You don't have to go all technical and really analyze it and get all serious about it. Have fun with it, but maybe ask your kid questions like, oh, why do you think he did that? Do you think that was the right play? Blah, blah, blah. You know, just asking these questions throughout the game, getting them familiar with what a good play looks like, getting them familiar with what common mistakes look like. But they're going to start picking this up as they watch more and more high-level matches. And number 10, final one, is team experience, and more importantly, moving up levels. Now, this is more of a long-term play, but you know, there are a lot of players who aren't even on a team. And like I mentioned in one of them, you want to be playing as often as you can in a team environment. So make sure, regardless of the level, you're getting on a team. And the next thing is not being afraid to move up levels, because there are tons of teams everywhere, but not all of them are the same. Not all of them are playing in strong leagues against strong opponents. Not all of them have the best players. And what you want to have early on, and really as you get better, is you want to not only be playing against amazing players or, you know, really good players for your age, you want to be playing with in training every time you train against these players. And I remember when I joined a team like this, it improved me so quickly, because now I could take all the things I was doing in my individual training and actually test it out against players who were getting D1 scholarships, against players who would later go on to do, you know, bigger things, go to college, maybe even pro or semi-pro. So that's what you want to be doing. Now at a young age, the younger you can do this, the better. But one of the things I see is this fear of moving up levels. And so I'll see a player who's on a team they're comfortable with, they're pretty good in the team, and they won't go looking out for a better team. You know, you only have so many years in your developmental phase, right? When you're a younger player. You should be trying to keep moving up levels. There's, you know, don't worry about things like loyalty or you have friends on the team or whatever, and that can be fine if that's what you want to do. But if your goal is to become the best player possible, you need to make sure you are continually moving up levels, challenging yourself, allowing yourself to get better, because being in those team environments, again, practicing with those players, playing against better players, is only going to challenge you to up your game, do different things, learn different things, and I just, in my experience, it has been one of the most valuable things that I personally did. All right, guys, so that's a lot to throw at you. Hopefully it's been valuable. Question of the day is, out of all of these things, for either you parents talking about your kid or for you younger players watching, which one of these things do you need to work on the most or implement first? I would love to know not only what it is and the reason, I would also like to know the reason why you chose that thing. So let me know in the comments. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate every single one of you for coming here, supporting the channel, watching the videos, and I just hope that they are valuable to you in some way. And as long as they are, I'll keep making them. Anyway, I'm gonna put 2 other videos up on the screen that you can continue to watch, improve your game, stand out on the pitch. But make sure you also check out those links in the description, because I gave you a few different things, different resources that are gonna help you improve your game even more. Anyway, guys, I'm out for this one. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.